Hello, all you degenerate old schoolers, and welcome back to another episode of The Orb. Tonight is round 3 of Midwest Thrash Bash, held in South Bend, Indiana. It's only a 5-round event, so this is right in the meat of things. We have Andy playing on the Shiv and Dragon playmat, and David on the bottom playmat. And here's a look of a few things that happened at the event. We had Nar at the bar the night before, followed by the main event, and what was in the Giant Mansion. And I think that's where we should play cards at, if we're lucky. But here's a look at the decks. And here's a look at David's deck. David's got a lot going on here. In the middle, he's got creatures. That's Atogs and Dibs. The Dibs are the cool-looking Doodle-Don magic cards. In the row above that, he has some direct damage with Lightning Bolts, 1 Giant Growth, 3 Berserks, a Fireball, and then a bunch of good cards off to the left of that. All the blue good cards, a Wheel and a Demonic Tutor. And then above that, he's got those Black Vices. Looks like he's rocking 3 Felwar Stones, all the brown mana, Mox's Soul Rings, a Black Lotus, and a Chaos Orb, and 1 Time Vault. He also has 3 Twiddles in his deck, so this is the mashup. I guess he wants to get down some creatures. Obviously take some extra turns whenever he can. I think Twiddle's an efficient card. The problem with it is it just does one thing once, and sometimes that one thing once can win you the game, and sometimes that one thing once is you wasted a card that turn, and now you need to do something big to make up for it. His sideboard, I love. I mean, he's rocking a whole playset of Urg Raiders. And in case you forgot what Urg Raiders does, everyone knows they're super cheap. 1 colorless, 1 black, and they're 2/3. But if they don't attack, Urg Raiders does 2 damage back to the opponent. Back to yourself, back to the owner of Urg Raiders. Then he has some extra burn in there, 1 counterspell, the Mind Twist, a Terror, Earthquake, Red Elemental Blast, Shatters, and 1 Sylvan Library to cap it all off. He does have 1 Power Sink. I don't know if the Power Sink's main deck. I guess it has to be, as he's rocking 15 cards in his sideboard now that I count them up. But cool looking deck. I like the idea. I like the mashup. I've tried to do this before. My outcomes haven't been that great, but I got an E for effort, I think, for trying. I shall pass on that E for effort to David. And on to his opponent's deck. Here's a look at Andy's deck. If you stand back and look at it, it looks like workshops. He's got 2 shops in there and a bunch of brown things that cost a bunch of mana. He has mana vaults in there, an Icy Manipulator, a playset of Triskelions, couple copies of Juggernaut, 3 Suchis, and 4 Copy Artifacts. I absolutely love Copy Artifact. And then he's also playing with 3 Dibs and 2 Atogs. And typically, in these events, these 4-strip events, we see Atogs and Dibs pairing together. Atog likes to eat artifacts. He doesn't care if they're expensive or cheap. And Andy's got both of them in here. He's also running only 1 Strip Mine in the main deck. He does have 2 more in the board, and I've heard this conversation before, I love when people add land to the sideboard. It can make a huge difference. And he's got a bunch of it in there. A couple Strip Mines, a City of Brass, a Sea, 3 islands. It's like he just had extra room for cards and just jammed a bunch of mana in there. Then he's got some burn with the bolts, Blue Elemental Blast, Shatter, 1 extra Atog, Red Elemental Blast, Sage of Latnam, another way to draw cards, and 1 Psyblast. So he does have a Sage in his main deck. He's also got an Animate Dead in his main deck. How awesome is that? So, if he needs to, he has up to 9 copies of Trike in his deck. The 4 original, the 4 Copy Artifact, and an Animate. That can become dangerous. I remember once seeing the same Trike 5 times in a game. I kind of want to cry a little bit. That being said, let's move on to the games. And here's a look at game number 1. Andy on the top won the underwater basket weaving competition, so he gets to play first. Firing down a volcanic into a soul ring. Soul ring's always fun, turn one. Hell of a way to ramp. Not too shabby of a card. His opponent finds a Taiga and a Black Vice. So, Andy taking 1 point to the dome, dropping to 19. So that Black Vice can get real mean in these 4-strip formats. Especially with all the draw 7s and all the strip mines. I mean, a lot of these matches end with almost no permanence in play. Oh, look at this. Andy copying things. Chucks down a copy artifact. And an ATOG. David finds 2 with a volcanic and a Felwar stone for some ramp. Oh, yeah. Andy tapping 6 here, turn 3 with only 1 land in play, and he fires out a Triskelion and turns his ATOG sideways. This is devastating. David just taking 1 from the ATOG, dropping to 19. Oh, never mind, he's got a bolt for it. Looks like David's tapping 3, and he's got a card. Oh, it's a Dib. Well, that's a serious card. The trade-off is, at some point, it's just going to be a blocker for that Triskelion. Another copy artifact. Okay. So here's the same Triskelion twice. What a nightmare. Copy artifact is so good. David's going to be dropping down to 15. And he has a mana vault. Look, he has like unlimited mana out there. I mean, he can produce 10 mana next turn if he so chooses. And really, he's still got 7 open. Kind of disgusting. Andy's passing the turn to David. David's going to need to come up with some answers, as he lost another point from that Dib in his upkeep. Demonic Tutor. David's off to find his favorite fucking card in his deck. It's an Ancestral Recall. So he picks 3 extra up. That makes sense. Plays out a Moxen and a land. I was going to say the other option's kind of balanced, right? But he's got a creature, which means that Tri could stay alive. So no balance. He gets the Ancestral. He plays down an ATOG, and he turns his Dib sideways. Not a whole lot Andy can do about that. He's going to take 3 to the face and drop to 16. And that ATOG is kind of a real threat now. I mean, he can eat artifacts. And he's pretty good at it. Yeah. Doing some artifact math here. Each one of those is +2/+2. ATOG can make it up to 7/8 at this moment. Andy's tapping things. Seven, 8 mana. Holy crap, Brain Geyser for 6. That is huge. Oh, that's so huge. I can see his hand slightly. I know he picked up a couple land, a Mind Twist, and a Juggernaut. I mean, that is devastating for Andy. I'm sorry, that's devastating for David. That's really, really good for Andy. Yeah, turns his big beast sideways here. Atog's getting in the mix and blocking one. Yeah, Atog's eating.
So you like donuts, eh? Well, have all the donuts in the world!
Yeah, Atog's a hungry beast. Eating 2 artifacts there. He eats a Black Vice and a Jet. And Andy's peeling off that 3 counters, shooting it straight to David's face. David's going to take 7 on this and drop down to 7. That is so painful. Andy shows up with a workshop. I'd say he doesn't need it, but it looks like he's going to use it immediately. Tapping his Copy Artifact Soul Ring, taking 1 point of burn and dropping to 15. Ooh, immediate Lightning Bolt. And Juggernaut gets his face burn off almost immediately. Dib's still doing damage. David drops to 6. And he's got to worry about that Triskelion that's both chucking counters at his face and punching in for forward turn. Yeah, it moves the City of Brass out of the way. I'm sure he's telling himself not to fucking tap that thing anymore. Taps 3. Wheel of Fortune. Yeah, kind of scary Larry with the Wheel of Fortune there. Drawing 7's good, and if you don't have an out, that's something to play, but reloading your opponent's hand is also terrifying. Turning his creature sideways, Dib and Atog are coming in. Looks like 4 damage. I believe that puts Andy down to 11. And he's passing back. So Andy's now on the play. He does choose to untap his Mana Vault also. Looks like he's playing out a Factory. And turning. Oh, turning that Triskelion sideways, but David says, hold on now. I'm going to play Twiddle. I think Andy has to read the card extra good. Tap or untap any artifact, creature, or land. So pre-combat, he's going to go ahead and tap down that Triskelion. He's useless this turn. So what a lifesaver there. Looks like 3 counters get peeled off of the trike. 3 damage straight to David's face. And 3 more with a lightning bolt. So Andy takes home game number 1 with a little extra burn. They'll swap out some cards and move on to game number 2. And here we go with game number 2. Both of these players take a mulligan down to 6. David on the fly here. Black Vice turn number 1. Andy's taking 2 to the face. Down to 18. Factory and Soul Ring again. Soul Ring did some heavy lifting for him last game. Oh, here we go. Strip Mine on the Factory. Slow the game down a little bit. David drops out of Lois. Andy should take another one. Drop down to 17. Finds a Moxen and a City of Brass. So already able to ramp up to 4. He goes to 16, tapping the City of Brass, and takes out the Lotus with a disenchant. Wonder if that hurts. I get it. Sometimes you want to get it out of your hand in case there's a balance. Andy dropping to 15, tapping the city, copy artifact on the Soul Ring, tapping 4 for Suchi. Wow. Such incredible ramp so quickly. Suchi's 4/4 and pokey on both ends. When he dies, that 4 colorless mana can come back after you. David's throwing down a dib though. Back on Andy. Yeah, here he comes. 4 in. Dropping David down to 16. Andy should be dropping down to 14 there. Tapping the city. Tapping 4 others with the Mox on top of it. Paying 6 for his 4/4 Triskelion. Hitting the board. David's dropping to 15 in his upkeep from the dib. Those big 4/4 robots, Terminators, are just devastating. David's trying to decide if he wants to send the dib in. Looks like he decides just to pass. Kind of makes sense. I think we have a game tied here at 14. Oh, there we go. City Brass being tapped. Another copy artifact. I mean, that has to be on the trike. 2 of those robots turning sideways. Did block Suchi. And a bolt. So after combat damage, David drops to 10. Suchi dies. Andy's also dropping to 10 here. So both on 10, but there's 2 trikes on board. And they have a total of 6 arms. Rocket-propelled grenades, if you will, ready to be shot. Straight at David's face. And does not have an answer now. Passes back to Andy. This is looking bad. Double trikes coming in. Dropped him down to about 2, if I'm not mistaken, and a fireball for the win. Andy takes this set 2-0. As always, thanks for watching The Orb. Have a good night. There was some time left over. These two decided to play a bonus round. Figure it's on camera. Let's take a watch. Andy started with a mulligan, so David's on the play again. Plays out Black Vice, 2 damage to Andy from that Vice. But Andy's got immediate ramp in the form of Mana Vault. David pumps out a Felwar Stone and taps down the Mana Vault. What a fucking Power Pro move. Holy shit. I've never seen that before, but that is awesome. So Andy's taken 1 from the vault. He does not take 1 because he was down to 4 cards with his mulligan from the Vice. But he is at 17 and has a time walk. Drops to 16. That tap Mana Vault is still doing work against him. Finds his 3rd mana source. Oh, copy artifact on the Mana Vault again, I believe. That could be dangerous. David's on the move again. Just passes. Andy dropping down to 15. Twiddle has done a hell of a job denying Andy mana and making Andy take damage in his draw step there. But he does have an out. He taps 6. Draws up Triskelion. Immediate death to Triskelion via David with a Side Blast. David drops to 15, ends up taking 5 damage. 3 from the Trike and 2 from the Side Blast, but it's off the board. I think Andy's down to 14, so 14 to 15 now. I'm sorry. I believe 13, because that that Mana Vault is still tapped. But Andy does power an ATOG, and plenty of good food for ATOG. 2 more. I think he's dropping down to 11 there. Plays out a City of Brass. That can be dangerous. ATOG coming in. And ATOG going to the buffet.
More.
I have baked the special don.
But ATOG will smash in for 5. David dropping to 10. Andy on 11, now dropping to 10 as he tapped his City of Brass and plays out a Juggernaut. So both these guys on 10. Andy's got the board presence with the Jugs and the ATOG. David's tapping 4. Fireball right to the Jug's face. And David just passes back. Andy shows up, sticks in ATOG, drops David down to 9. So now 9 to 10 here. Anybody's game. Andy's tapping 2, plays out another Felwar Stone. 3 mana still left open. Another Black Vice. I mean, he needs a draw 7. ATOG coming to life again, sticking in for another one. Oh, look at this. David's playing a Berserk on Andy's ATOG. ATOG comes in for 2. David drops down to 7. That's a heck of an efficient way. Only takes an extra point of damage, but destroys that creature for 1 green. David's tapping 3. Looks like he's firing out a recall for 1. Picks back up Fireball. Makes sense. Fireball can do some damage. Oh, Andy's tapping 3. Psyblast. He drops to 8. David drops to 3. He's in the danger zone. And he's got it. Another Fireball. More cheese to the face. Andy takes this set 3-0. So, thanks again for watching. Have a good night.